Live from your local election headquarters at the 22 News Broadcast Center, this is a Greenfield Mayoral Forum. And now, here's Rich Teddemer.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special Your Local Election Headquarters presentation. I am Rich Teddemer, and all this week 22 News is hosting a series of forums featuring candidates running for mayor in local cities. And today 22 News is hosting a forum with Greenfield Mayor Roxann Wedegartner. Mayor Wedegartner is being challenged for re-election by City Councilor Virginia DeSorger. 22 News invited the councilor to participate today, but she had a scheduling conflict and was not able to make it today. So we begin with an opening statement from Mayor Wedegartner. Go ahead, Mayor.
Yes. Well, it's my pleasure to be here today. I have been mayor since January of Greenfield, since January 2nd, 2020. And I'm running again for mayor because I actually love the job. I love the city. And it has been my honor to be the mayor for the last 4 years. When I started in January of 2020, I had plans for progress, to make progress for Greenfield, and 6 weeks into the mayor's position, we encountered the global pandemic, and a lot of time was spent getting us through that for the next year. We stood up a clinic, first of all, an emergency operations center in our senior center, which had to close down, and we were there for about 1.5 years. Despite the pandemic, I've been able to accomplish a great deal, and I have a great deal more I would like to do. So I've learned that governing in a pandemic, you need all the help you can get. And I have wonderful people working for the city of Greenfield, and we have a lot of work left to do. Despite, as I said, the pandemic, we've been able to build a new library. We're in the process of building our new fire station. We have a new skate park. I made the promise to the parents and children in 2019 that we would get that long-awaited skate park done, and we did finally open it this year. So we have a lot of accomplishments that I am extremely proud of. I was able this year to also lower the tax rate for the first time in a decade. Taxes are of great concern to all property owners. That's nothing new to people like myself who hold elected office. But through very careful fiscal planning and keeping our eye on the taxpayer's dollar, we were able to reduce the tax rate. I am smart enough to understand that's not going to go on forever, but we will continue to also grow our tax base. I was able to get a zone change out on the French King Highway of about 44 acres, which will assist us in expanding our industrial park. Our industrial park is built out and pretty much, and we need additional land to help existing businesses expand as well as attract new manufacturing businesses in our industrial park. So with the support of the people of Greenfield, I will be able to carry on new work in a 4-year term. Looking forward to being able to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate that opening statement. We now move on to our question and answer portion of the program. We've prepared a list of questions pertaining to issues that affect the city of Greenfield. After the Greenfield Police Department lost a discrimination lawsuit filed by a former police officer last year, the City Council voted to cut the department's budget by $400,000, and that led to a decision to eliminate the overnight shift. State troopers were responsible for responding to emergencies overnight in the city for a while before a change in the shift structure and a deal with the Franklin County Sheriff's Department that led to the return of 24-hour coverage. You had opposed the budget cuts and did not fire Police Chief Robert Haig, which some members of the City Council were hoping for. Why do you believe you were in the right about the police budget and keeping the police chief?
Very good question, and one that I certainly answer a lot. So first of all, the police budget is a very small portion of the entire public safety budget. So it is a little over $3 million. and it is a very tight budget, meaning there's not a lot of room to spare. But yet we are a city of 17,700 people. We have a local hospital, we have a community college, and then of course we have the citizens of Greenfield, all of whom deserve a fully staffed, fully functioning police department. So when you cut out $425,000 out of a police budget, there's really only one place that you can turn to learn how to figure out how to get by with the money that you've got, and that is in staffing. Now, we did not have to lay anybody off, but we did have to, which was our goal, not to reduce the number of people in our police department. We just couldn't hire anymore. So we had to think fast, and it would have meant looking at our scheduling. I worked with Deputy Chief Gordon at the time because I had to put Police Chief Haig on leave for while an investigation went on a tangential situation that occurred during the trial, along with himself and another officer, a senior officer. So, long story short, we had to eliminate the staffing. This problem was created by the reduction of the budget. My opponent is a lead in the defund the police budget at police at that time. And so the problem was created by the city council. The Deputy Chief Gordon and I had to figure out how to fix it. So we looked to, after several weeks, Police Chief Haig came back on as our police chief once the investigation was finished. And he was, there was no finding in that investigation. So what happened was we had to go to the state police, and we had to go to the sheriff's office to see where we could find additional people to help us out. They very graciously did that, and it was very hard. It was hard on all of the morale of the current police officers, and certainly of our senior officers and the chief and deputy chief. Mm-hmm. But we were able to work through it, and I'm grateful still to our state police and our sheriff. And I credit Deputy Gordon and Police Chief Haig with the longstanding good relationships that they've had with both of these other law enforcement agencies.
Okay.
So, why did I keep the chief? Do you want me to continue answering that?
Why did you keep the chief?
Because Chief Haig, first of all, that case is on appeal, as is his right to do, and it's being handled by our insurance company. So that when I say the insurer, it's the city's insurer, and it was their choice to take the case to appeal because they thought they saw enough in the trial that went awry that there was a case for bringing it on appeal. So the chief is governed by a contract. He's governed by civil service, and it's not as easy as snapping your fingers to remove a police officer. That, in this case, it was a finding in a civil case. So, that said, Police Chief Haig is very dedicated to the work that he does, and he remains a good police chief in terms of how he has handled the department going forward. So the court case and the outcome of the court case will determine his fate. And I really can't talk about the court case because it's an active court case. But the department is doing well. They got several $100,000 grant from the Department of Justice, which is a highly competitive grant. And we were able to hire additional police officers. So we are now back up to being fully staffed, now that the people that we hired have all been through the academy and through their other training. So we are fully staffed and we are out doing police work.
Excellent. Okay. Now, early this year, the city budget that you filed included a cut to what the school committee had been proposing for Greenfield Public Schools. Why did you feel this cut was needed, and do you anticipate there could be further funding issues for the schools in the coming years?
Well, first of all, to set the record straight, the city of Greenfield for 10 straight years has fully funded the schools from the operations side to the tune of, double-digit percentages and high single digits, so 9%, 6%. In this particular year, at the time we were creating the budget, we simply did not have the money to fund a 10.37% increase in the school budget. The schools are very, very important to me, and I know that they're important to the people who live in Greenfield. I served on the school committee several, in my past. I was elected to 2 terms, so 6 years altogether. I was chair for 3 of those 6 years. I understand budgets. I want our schools to be good and have good paying jobs. So it's a false narrative to say I don't care about education. But as a mayor, I have to look at funding all of our departments. So the school budget is over 60% of the overall budget. And part of that is we fund all of the teachers and staff and administrators fringe benefits on that side to the tune of about $6.8 million a year. So when you combine the two, we do believe in fully funding. I just could not let them have a 3% increase, a 10% increase. 3% was all I could afford based on, or that the city could afford, based on where we were at in our budget at the time.
One of the tough choices you have to make as a mayor.
Right, it certainly is.
Here's our next question. The State Department of Transportation is studying the possibility of an east-west rail line that would connect North Adams to Boston with service in Greenfield. The Northern Tier rail service could provide economic benefits to Greenfield, but given the challenges, costs, and length of time other rail projects in Massachusetts have encountered, it may not be easy to make this a reality. If you are re-elected, what would you do to help advance this idea?
Well, I have been championing the East-West Rail for probably before I was mayor. It's just something that I felt like was absolutely needed. We have the beautiful John Oliver Transit Center. It was a testimony to how much he loved the city of Greenfield as well as Franklin County, that was chosen for a state-of-the-art transit center that already accompanied the I forget what they call it. I call it the Montrealer because I think that's what it was called some time ago. But it's the New York to Montreal line. And we now have service on the transit center for 2 trips a day to New York City and back. It's wonderful. Now we just need to go to the other direction because we've already seen an uptick since COVID in the number of people who can work from home but may need to go into Boston or other larger cities around that can benefit from being able to just hop on a train and do it instead of having to commute. So I think it'll be a tremendous boon to our economic development. I work with our legislative delegation who's also very attuned to the need for East-West Rail, and Greenfield is a perfectly wonderful place to have it come through.
It would be neat to see
East-West
Rail. You're right about that.
Yeah.
We're at the halfway point of our today's forum, and we're going to take a short break right now. And after that, we'll have more questions and answers from Greenfield Mayor Roxann Wedegartner. You're watching a special Your Election Headquarters presentation right here on 22 News.
You're watching a Greenfield Mayoral Forum. Here's Rich Teddemer.
Welcome back, and Today 22 News is hosting a forum with Greenfield Mayor Roxann Wedegartner. Mayor Wedegartner's challenger, City Councilor Virginia DeSorger, had a scheduling conflict and was not able to make today's forum, so we continue with our questions for Mayor Wedegartner, and here comes the next one. Migrants continue to arrive in the United States and in Greenfield, one of the communities where migrant families are being temporarily housed. How would you characterize the city's response to the arrival of migrants, and do you think that Greenfield would be able to accommodate more migrants if requested by state officials?
Well, we are doing well with our migrants. Having people who are unhoused in our community, this was not the first time it happened. Happened under the previous mayor. Was just a situation that was occurring with unhoused people in the Boston area. Having immigrants is just as good as having other people in there. So we've enjoyed, I've enjoyed getting to know the people that are there, and I think the city has handled it quite well, frankly. Our only role is to make sure that the safety, to ensure the safety and the health of the people who are there. So to that end, our health department makes regular investigations at the hotel, and of course our police and fire department are there as needed, and the fire department handles all of the issues around fire safety. So ours is really a function of doing what we do with everybody else in the city of Greenfield, making sure that they are safe and that there are health protections in place for them. But we've had tremendous acceptance from many, many people who volunteer their time, or basically have wanted to volunteer their time, and in some cases have been able to. But it's ServiceNet who is handling the situation there. They are the contractor through the state. We have a good relationship with ServiceNet, and I meet regularly, weekly, with our legislative delegation so that they can be the conduit from the governor's office. It's a two-way conversation. If the governor has things that she would like us to know or work on, we hear from our legislative delegation on that, and by the same token, if we're encountering issues, then they can take them back to the governor. I don't think we'll be having many more people coming in. We're maxed out at that hotel. We really don't have any additional space for them. But then, as you heard this week, I believe it was, that the governor has said that we simply can't have any more unhoused people. We're at our max. So at the end of the day, working with the governor's office, this is a problem that the United States government needs to handle and deal with. Meanwhile, we are attempting to make sure, not we, but I'm saying the state is, along with local service providers, to see that these people get work permits, those who can, and get them working, because they've come here to work, to become members of our society, and we welcome them.
Okay, next question. Downtown Greenfield is home to many small businesses, including shops, restaurants, and art spaces. But the COVID-19 pandemic changed consumer behavior, which has hit in-person retail and restaurants especially hard. What would you do over the next 4 years to support small businesses in downtown Greenfield and elsewhere in the city?
The same thing we did during COVID, which was we were able to use grant money to keep our businesses going. We were able to give out over $255,000 in small grants using COVID relief money. We still have a little bit for health care issues, and we have been able to do lots of promotional events downtown. I have cut off, we had to move fast. We had to come up with ways to help our restaurants. So we made sure that we had plenty of opportunity for them to do outdoor dining. We were able to work with the state boards on ensuring that they could, if they sold alcohol, they could sell alcohol outside their doors. So we continue to work on ways in which to enhance our downtown entertainment, restaurants and so forth. And it's still working. A lot of the things that we put in place, outdoor dining, is still working. And I was able to cut off what we call Court Square to make more of a pedestrian plaza between the downtown to enhance the outdoor space so that people can continue to be outdoors enjoying downtown Greenfield.
Okay, and you brought this up before. 4 years ago, no one could have foreseen the COVID-19 pandemic and the quick changes that had to be made at all levels of government. How would you characterize the city's response to the pandemic? And do you think the city has the right procedures in place in the event of any future public health crisis?
Well, as I mentioned before, we have an extraordinary team of department heads working in the city of Greenfield. These are the people who make the city of Greenfield work, and without them I would not have had any idea as to how to stand up an emergency operations center. Our fire chief is well versed in that, and he laid it out for me and said, Mayor, this is how we have to get through this. We're going to have an emergency operations center, which we did in the John Zahn Community and Senior Center. It's a brand new building. It's about 6 years old. It's got plenty of space. And basically it was an emergency operations center for the county because we are the county seat. So we had people from all up and down the trail who would come in who were involved in public safety and emergency operations. And they were there for about 1.5 years. We stood up a testing clinic there, and then we stood up a vaccination clinic. And we were able to vaccinate over 17,400 people in that clinic. Not just people from Franklin County, but people from the eastern part of the state who were in basically a vaccine desert. And the Cape, people would come from the Cape. People came in from Vermont and New Hampshire. So I can't say enough about the quality of the health protection systems that we put in place. I don't want to say we'll be ready for the next pandemic because I don't want any mayor to have to do that again, but we would be ready for any major situation. I know we would because we know how to do it now. We have the playbook.
And let's hope it's another 100 years for another
pandemic. Right, yeah, I'll be long gone.
Yeah. Safety for pedestrians and cyclists is an issue in every city. Do you think that the city of Greenfield is doing a good job to make the roads safer for more vulnerable road users? And are there any changes you would like to see over the next 4 years?
I am really glad you asked that question because Mass DOT, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, has already gotten started on a over $7 million project that will completely redesign Main Street traffic to make it safer for pedestrians and for cyclists and for motorists. It's basically, we call it Main Street, but it's basically Route 2A. So they saw an opportunity to we have angled parking, which is not safe, and it's particularly not safe for cyclists. So we had a meeting yesterday, sort of an interim meeting. We're at about what they call 25% design on that. So we will have a bicycle lane and on both sides and parallel parking. And it was just a joy to finally see a sketch that was real, you know, some designs that were real with an opportunity. It'll be a slightly raised bicycle lane, which is actually a little safer. And they will redesign all the intersections that we have on Main Street for both handicap accessibility and safety and bicyclists and pedestrians. And it narrows the street so you can't use Main Street as a speedway. And I think we're going to do just fine. The problem is it's not going to happen fast enough. So that is the one project that I want to see, one of the projects that I want to see to completion in my next 4-year term.
All right. So that's one of the projects, along with East West Rail, that we may not see anytime future.
Apparently it's all about wheels.
That's right. Exactly. Mayor, thanks very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's all the time we have for today's forum. Thank you to Mayor Roxann Wedegartner for participating. If you missed any of today's program, it will be available in its entirety on our website at wwlp.com. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 12:30 when 22 News will wrap up our series of forums with the candidates running for mayor of Agawam. Election day is Tuesday, November 7th. I'm Rich Teddemer. Have a good afternoon.